Weapons of mass distraction. Some of the greatest weapons perhaps ever used against the American people are not nuclear bombs, they're not sarin gas, they're not anthrax, not even the COVID vaccine. Perhaps these weapons of mass distraction have done far more harm than any of those things. That's what we're going to talk about today. Welcome to Alpha Male Podcast, where we talk about what it means to be a man the right way with God at the center. Strong, dominant, in control, having dominion in our environment. We don't apologize for that. Here at this podcast, a little bit about me, a rapid fire bio as it kind of plays into today's topic. And I'll expound on that a little bit as it's more germane to today's topic. Blessed to have served in the military, law enforcement, combat veteran, private contractor, competition shooter, lifelong hunter, guide. Blessed by God that He got me through all those things so I could share this firsthand training, knowledge, experience with you to serve you today. Let's dive into the podcast. Television, social media, and credit cards. Let us take each one of those in turn, look at it, dissect it, hopefully open some eyes. Now, I said I would expand my background a little bit when it became germane. I don't have television. I have not had television for a long, long time. When I met my wife, and we've been married a while, she also did not have television, which is a big plus. I have been televisionless for a long, long time. I'm not talking about like I don't have cable. I'm talking about like I don't have a television. I don't have Netflix. I don't have that stuff. Got rid of it. It is a mass distraction. Let us talk about TV programming. What's being programmed there? Is it the roster or is it you? Ooh, yeah, are you the one being programmed? Whatever they want you to think. Oh, you don't understand. I'm with the good guys. I'm with Fox News. Bro, you're being played. You ever had a buddy, maybe hopefully it wasn't you, but you ever have a buddy who was just, this woman was just into him for his money or to use him for whatever reason, and it's playing to you, it's playing to your buddy, and you're just like, bro, you're being played, but he's blinded to it. He thinks a stripper's in love with him, or whatever the case is. That's you in that world. Unplug from the Matrix, man. That's you in that world saying, oh no, I'm with the good guys. I'm with Fox News. You realize it's like a sporting event. Like, oh, I'm for the Cheese Packers, the Green Bay Packers. Oh no, I'm with the Dallas Cowboys. My side's the right side. Meanwhile, you got a bunch of dudes chasing a ball on a field making millions of dollars while you throw them your money. Talk about a mass distraction. Ooh, here, take my money. Then you'll be like, oh, I can't believe they make millions of dollars to chase a ball. Bro, you're paying them if you're watching them on TV. Who wins? The NFL, the people in control win. Do you think that the people are the Dallas Cowboys or that are the Cheese Packers? Yeah, I know they're the Green Bay Packers. I'm teasing my wife, that's her favorite team. I don't give a darn what pretty colors catch the ball. Now, if you want to watch sports, that's fine, but realize who's winning is the NFL, and who's losing is everybody throwing them their money. While these people laugh and make millions of dollars, do you think those people that are the Cowboys or that are the Packers, do you think they really care as long as you're throwing them millions and millions and millions of dollars? You don't understand. Fox News, they're legit. Are they? I mean, are you telling me they're not? I'm not even going to make the case they're not the lesser of two evils. But is that really argument you're going to make to me? Is that they're less evil, therefore I'm going to give them my time and attention, and therefore kind of your part of your life because they're less bad? How about we just know evil? How about that? What if you unplug from the Matrix for a bit? What if you step back from this whole political vomit that's everywhere? This person, no, that person. I don't even want to say what side or whatever. It doesn't matter. You think they're not going to the same bars after work, hanging out at the same country clubs, the same golf, whatever, patting each other on the back, saying, "Oh, you good game. You win this one, I'll win the next one." Meanwhile, these people, we rake millions, billions, trillions of dollars from them. Who wins? They both win. Who loses? The people throwing them their money. You're being played, bro. I don't care who, but you're telling me that I'm not even making the case that you shouldn't vote. I'm not even going to try and make that case right now. But you don't need to watch hours and hours of Fox News, CNN, MSNBC, NPR, whatever. You don't need it. We live in an era where you can look all kinds of things up. You could just look it up, and instead of wasting hours of your life, you could waste 3 minutes on what's pertinent to you. Oh, I don't believe in killing babies. Well, let me look and see what's a better choice for that. I like gun rights. Let's see who's a better choice for that. That would take you all of about 3 minutes. Think about the hours if you do watch TV and political stuff. How many hours of your life you've thrown down a porta potty consuming that stuff. Making you angry with people, angry with whatever. Those people, you think they care if one side's angry with the other, or do you think they want that so that they get more power because you're in fear that somebody else 1% different than the other side is going to get in power? Riddle me this. Since Andrew Jackson, have our taxes ever lowered? Whatever political party was in power. Have we ever paid down the national debt? Have we ever built a border wall? Have we ever stopped whatever, pick your thing? But you don't understand, this politician says. A lot of politicians say a lot of things about a lot of things. And that's just the news. What about the stuff that you could make an argument maybe that you would hear something useful on the news? Have a cell phone, which I assume you do. If it's something really important like a mass evacuation order, trust me, you'll know. You'll get an alert on your phone. That's how that works. Or somebody will tell you. Right, with the Trump assassination attempt, and not because I'm a Trump sycophant, but because it's an assassination attempt. A pretty big deal. There could be ramifications of that. I heard about that in probably minutes. Without television, without the news. What about just straight up junk food on TV? I would call it junk food. How about we don't keep up with the Kardashians? I've never seen that show. I'm familiar with the title because I've heard it in reference. How about we don't keep up with them? How about we don't care what they do? One day, unless Jesus returns in our lifetime, from dust we were taken, and to dust we will return. Naked we came into this world, and naked we're going out of this world. And we'd probably be good to remember that from time to time. Not dwell on it constantly, but to remember that. Remember you will die. At least your physical body, unless Jesus returns in our lifetime. Your physical body will return to the dust. On that day, are you going to say, I really wish I'd have caught every episode of the Kardashians? I'm just picking on them because it's a kind of a ridiculous thing, I think. But pick whatever. And shows that I used to like. Are you going to be like, the one thing I really achieved in life, I saw every episode of Seinfeld. And, that's what's really important now that I'm dying. It doesn't matter then, and it doesn't matter now. It's a weapon of mass distraction. How about social media? Now, I'm not anti-cell phone. Cell phone's a tool. It can be used for good or bad. And I would be a hypocrite at one time, especially because I was trying to grow the podcast and grow the business. I had Instagram. I had thousands of followers on Instagram. And I kind of took a step back and looked at it, and I thought, is this a net positive or negative for me? I came to the conclusion it was a net negative. Guess what I did? Suspended my Instagram. I no longer post stuff on Instagram. I don't have Instagram on my phone. Now, TikTok was way faster. I quickly realized that TikTok was borderline Malaman say, just evil, just all kinds of filth on TikTok. care who you are, I don't care what you look up on there. You scroll down for a not very long and you'll see a half-naked woman dancing around. I'm a married man. I love my wife. The only half-naked woman I want to see is my wife. I don't need that. I don't want that. That's not good for you. The TikToks, the Instagram. Now, I don't want to be a complete hypocrite. I do have a Facebook that I do not post on. I have Facebook because I have patrons. People that step up. If you want to become a patron, you can, and support this show. And when I was trying to get a way for us to communicate, the most broad spectrum that most people have was Facebook. So use Goliath's own sword to cut his head off. So I have a Facebook somewhere. I don't post stuff on it. I don't look up people on it. I don't do any of that stuff on it, really. I have it because there's a messenger thing, and that's the most broad spectrum to reach the most people around the world. By God's grace, got patrons in countries all over the world. And the Facebook Messenger app was like the best interface to do that with. And so that you could like not get woken up in a giant group text because people are posting at all times all around the world. We make our own little community, so we don't have to be part of this larger garbage community. So just full disclosure there, if you want to count that as social media, because I use a group text app, right? I'm not even saying all social media is bad, but many of those things, Instagram, TikTok, there's probably some I don't even know of. Are they making your life better, or are they a time vampire? Are they a weapon of mass distraction? Do you sit down and before you know it, you've wasted 5 minutes of your life scrolling? 5 minutes you'll never get back on stuff that doesn't matter. Jesus says the lamp of the body is the eye. The lamp of the body is the eye. If therefore your eye is good, your whole body will be full of light. Be careful, men, what you feed your body. Be careful what you feed your mind and your soul. If that old saying, this is not biblical, but that old saying, you are what you eat, your soul and your mind are influenced by what you consume as well. Be on guard with what you consume. If you consume a bunch of spiritual and mental garbage, what do you think will happen? It's a weapon of mass distraction. Bread and circuses, bread and circuses. When the Roman Empire was falling, declining, how did they control the masses? Bread and circuses, bread and circuses. What is the circus of today? I submit to you. Think about that. What's the circus? What's the mass distraction for the people of today? TV, social media, bread and circus. I'm not even saying you can't use them. Like it's not a commandment, right? And be an individual, independent thinker. Don't stop because I tell you to stop. Take a stop because you pray about it, think about it, read your Bible, and take an honest step back and have some introspection. Examine your life and say, is this a net good or bad for me? And then have the fortitude, the self-discipline to say, I don't want to do this anymore. I want to unplug. Talking a little bit about me, I mentioned I don't have a TV. I don't have many of the social media things. I do have that group text. It's freeing. It's liberating. That doesn't mean it's going to be easy. Oh, YouTube's a big one. I was big on YouTube's and watching gun stuff on the UBTube. And I've been fasting that for, I think, 2 months. And I've been fasting it for about 2 months, which is actually, I think, what started the idea for this episode, by God's grace. I was big on that, watching YouTube, because I thought, I get to pick what I want to watch. I'm in control of that. Are you? Well, it took me stepping back for about 2 months. And I didn't even end up watching anything, but the other day I was at a place where I couldn't really do anything. That's not true. I guess I had a Bible. I could have read my Bible, but I thought, you know what? I'm really bored. I'm stuck here. Let me see, after 2 months, what's on YouTube. There was one channel on there that had a couple of videos I wanted to watch. Doesn't even matter, but they posted them on Sabbath, which I'm not sure how I feel about that. So I didn't watch those 2 videos that have come out in the last 2 months. So 2 videos that I probably would have if they hadn't come out on Sabbath. I looked up and see when they come out. They came out on Sabbath. You shall do no work, nor your male servant, nor your female servant. Somebody's working and putting out content that I'm consuming. I don't know how I feel about that. I'm not saying that's even a commandment. I'm saying that's the reason I didn't watch it. Those 2 videos were the only thing that I wanted to watch. All the other stuff I looked at that I normally would have watched. I thought, this is all marketing. This is all trying to get me to buy something. This is all trying to push me or manipulate me in some way to want this thing. It's sponsored by somebody. It has an agenda. And I literally, after 2 months, I'm not saying I'll never watch YouTube again. If I need to figure out how to, remove gears in my transmission, YouTube's a pretty good tool for that. And I will leverage that technology if I can't find it on some other platform. But what I'm saying is, after fasting that for 2 months and looking at it, I thought, wow, what a bunch of garbage I was watching. Sometimes you have to take a step back. Sometimes you have to unplug from the matrix. You think of that movie, and it's a kind of a pop culture reference. Yes, I see one of those movies back when they came out in the theater. Who knows when that was? I had TV at one point. But if you think about that in the real world, you don't have some giant thing stuck to the back of your head plugging you into the matrix. You voluntarily, like some cow, shuffle up to the feed trough. Mrrr. Give me my social media. Mrrr. TikTok. Mrrr. Instagram. Mrrr. News. What do they say I should feel or care about? Mrrr. Unplug from the matrix. Go be a wild bison. Go roam around outside. You might notice there was no episode last week. That's because I'm working 2 jobs. Working as a private security contractor for some government entities I won't mention. And I'm doing the podcast. I do this one from time to time, but I mostly do gunfighter life. So because a lot of the gun content out there is a bunch of marketing hype. And, oh, look at this new next widget. And look at this new next thing that's 100 feet per second faster. You got to have it. Be the next Wyatt Earp, John Wick. If you throw your money at me. And I'm not about that. It's one of the main reasons I do gunfighter life. And I'm tired of all the content with all the blasphemy and the use of the Lord's name in vain and all that stuff. And that's just dirty. That doesn't need to be. Got off in a rabbit hole there. Anyway, you might notice there was no episode last week. Well, that's because it's deer and elk season. And I'm working 2 jobs. And to play into the next point, I said, you know what? I'm going to go out and I purposely, lifestyle design, have lived out west for a long, long time. I'm talking and I prefer the Wild West. I'm talking Montana, Idaho, Wyoming, Utah area. The Wild West, where a man can walk around with a normal-sized gun on his hip and not get a weird look. Wild West, where there's millions and millions of acres of wild wilderness land that butts up to millions of more acres of wild wilderness land. And I thought, you know what? It's deer and elk season. I'm going to go up in those mountains and chase tail in a good way. Go see, a deer close enough I could kill it with a spear if I wanted to. And look it in the eye. I'm going to make friends with a squirrel and watch it build a nest. Now, that's a little bit of personification, anthropomorphism, where we weren't really friends, but he got to the point where he's comfortable with me. I watched him make a nest. Yesterday, I watched him gather materials. I got to hear a giant, giant tree. It was just its day. It wasn't a particularly windy or stormy day. It was just its day. Crack, crack, crack. And then except for wartime, with all the artillery and bombs and stuff that I've heard, one of the loudest natural sounds in the natural world. Just a giant tree falling in the forest. Got to watch the sunrise and the sunset in a land without roads. Psalm 19, the heavens declare the glory of God, and the firmament shows us his handiwork. Oh, but I could have been watching Netflix. Could have been watching the Kardashians or Friends or whatever. Weapons of mass distraction. Part of the reason I was able to do that goes into the next thing. Credit cards. Credit. Have it now. Pay for it later. That's like the opposite, if you can help it, of what you should do. How about long suffering? How about self-discipline? How about save up for it, work hard for it, and then actually buy it? Wait a little bit. This instant gratification culture. Everything you want, you got to have it right now. You want something? Amazon, have it to your door in a day. I'm not even against that. I'm just saying it's become such a part of our culture that whatever we want, we think we should have it now. Men, I'm telling you, in general, you will appreciate what you work hard for. So maybe it's not a good thing. Maybe this credit is no credit to you. Maybe this credit is enslaving you. I don't have any debt. I've never owned a new car. Was I able to do that stuff because I'm not in debt. I'm not a debt slave. Now, if my boss needed me, it's one thing, but if he can fill it with somebody else and somebody else wants the shifts or needs the extra money, and I say, hey, how about I go up in these woods and chase these deer around? I could do that. How many of you would like to do that? Live like a broke redneck, but you can't because you're too busy polishing your chains. Used to be we would shackle people and chain them, and I'm not saying, and that was an egregious, horrible thing. But today people make their own shiny chains and polish them. Oh, I woke up today and I'm already in debt, but I get to drive a new, I don't know, what's a new hot car? A Toyota Tundra with rims. Okay, does that actually make you happy, or are you just doing that to show off, to drive a car that you're in debt for back and forth to a job you don't want to work so you can pay for the car that you don't want to polish your shiny chains? Or could you sacrifice, save up, and buy a beater car in cash one day and not be in debt? Yeah, one's instant gratification and one's delayed gratification, but one makes you a slave. A borrower is a slave to the lender. That's what the Bible says. And it's not a commandment. I'm telling you can't do it. But I'm telling you debt makes wage slaves, debt slaves of so many people in America. Inflation's pretty bad right now, right? But look at what the cost is when you're getting something on a credit card. Add up all that compounded interest. Add up what you would pay. And I've never had a vehicle loan, by God's grace. But go look up what that $50,000 truck costs, what you actually pay for it when you make all your payments. Even if you make them all on time, no penalties. Look at the actual cost of that. And then look at that level of inflation. Shiny chains are still chains. Break the chains. Weapons of mass distraction, because you're stuck in debt. You're in servitude to a job you don't even want to do. Right before I took this job to bank up some money, working both jobs to bank up some money, because for years my wife and I traveled across country from Florida to Alaska, and we still live as nomads, semi off grid, but we traveled from Florida to Alaska just to see the country that God has blessed me to live in, that I served to protect in the military. Thought maybe I should see some of that country, and from Florida to Alaska we lived, and been back and forth across the country I don't know how many times. Worked hard for a couple of years, saved up some money, and traveled for a couple of years. Think we could have done that if we were wage slaves, debt slaves? You might think, that sounds great, I want to do that. You have to want it more than the shiny new truck then. Unless you just make a ton of money and you can just buy a shiny, $50,000, $75,000 new truck in cash. There are ways to do it, but you're probably going to want to unplug from the weapons of mass distraction. And I'm not saying you need to live my life. I'm not so vain as to think that my answer is right for you. Your idea of happiness could be being crazy in debt and driving a fancy truck with rims. But if that's not you, consider the weapons of mass distraction that are used against the American people. I would submit they are a greater danger and have done more harm to the American people than a nuclear bomb ever has. Think for yourself and have a blessed day.